Before we begin, there are a few things I need to make sure you understand. You see, no one can change what happened last year. The past is beyond our control. You have to accept this in order to move forward. But there is freedom in this revelation. Everything you do, every decision you make from now on will open doors to the future. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this as you play your game. Every single choice will affect your fate and the fate of those around you. So, you have committed to commence with this game. This is significant, and I want to help you see it through. Sometimes these things can be a little scary, even terrifying, but I'm here to make sure that no matter how upsetting things may get, you will always find a way to work through it. All right. We will start with a simple exercise. Could you please pick up a card? And I want you to look at the picture on the other side and tell me what you feel about it. It is essential that you answer honestly in order to get the most out of this experience. So, how did that picture make you feel? Remember, be honest. Well, that's good. In what way did it make you happy? Oh. Interesting. It's interesting. So, would it make you happy to spend the whole week here all by yourself? Huh. And what if I told you that this cottage was haunted? A level-headed response. But everyone is frightened of something. I wonder what it is that does frighten you. I really do.
Until Dawn was released in North America on August 25th in 2015. Until Dawn was developed by Supermassive Games and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Supermassive Games is responsible for the DLC in Little Big Planet, Killzone HD, and Until Dawn Rush of Blood VR. They're a relatively new company, having started in 2009. Sony Computer Entertainment is just literally Sony, so they've published all the Sony exclusives we all know and love. Until Dawn is a third-person choice-driven horror game, and the following footage was captured on a PlayStation 4 Pro via an Elgato, so the footage you see may not be completely representative of what you experience. Now, the following review may or may not have spoilers. Depending on your choices and your own playstyle, certain characters' deaths can be avoided, some characters can be killed, some can be in totally different situations, and others can be in the same exact situation as you see in my footage. It is highly unlikely you will have the same exact situations that I was in. Either way, this is your spoiler warning. Until Dawn begins with a couple of friends hanging out at the Washington cabin owned by Josh, Hannah, and Beth Washington. With Hannah and Beth distracted, the rest of the group put together a crude ploy to embarrass Hannah. Hannah has a crush on one of the guys, but he happens to be dating someone else. The crush, Mike, tricks Hannah into thinking they have some alone time, and just as she begins to take off her clothes, the rest of the group bursts out from the closet and from under the bed, filming her embarrassment. She runs out in tears and into the cold wilderness. Her sister Beth, confused, runs after her to get her. When they catch up with one another, they are chased by something or someone. They are both killed, and we flash forward to a year later, with Josh Washington hosting a reunion at that same cabin. Josh being the brother of the twin sisters. As tensions flare between all of them, they all split up, and in true horror movie fashion, their problems begin immediately. Alright, so this story, boy did I have a lot of problems with this story. First of all, here's my disclaimer. I hate horror movies. They don't scare me, they bore me. I know when you watch a horror movie, you have to suspend disbelief, or suspend belief, or whatever that phrase is. But I can't do it. I can't ever watch a horror movie without going, "Why don't you do this, Chad?" I say Chad since, it's always dumb white people in it. Anyways, to really love Until Dawn, you have to be a true horror film fan. It's not enough to like horror games, and I say this from experience because I like horror games. The number of times that I just thought this game was being super ridiculous and overdramatic is just too high to count. For example, just in the beginning, why is this cabin impossibly dark to begin with? Why is Hannah even attempting to get with Mike when his girlfriend is at that cabin? If you're going to be dumb enough to cheat, why wouldn't you first find out where the significant other is before you start taking off your shirt? Why would she run out into the wilderness if she was so embarrassed? She's not 10 years old. Why would she go so far into the wild? When you play as her sister, you walk at least a mile to get to her. And that's only the beginning. The story gets tense later on, and there were a few jump scares that got to me, but I was never really afraid of anything, and I'll tell you why. The characters in this game play a huge role in delivering this narrative, and they're not great characters. You get to play as all of them, and they try to differentiate them from one another when you're first introduced to them, with their name and 3 different adjectives, as if that was enough. Chad, intelligent, charismatic, athletic. Throughout the game, it won't matter. Their personalities just depend on how you play. And my problem with these characters is that they were all instantly unlikable, with the exception of Sam.
I really don't think you should head back down the trail by yourself.
Seriously?
It's cold out, and it's getting dark.
You're gonna protect me from it being dark out?
I'll just leave your stuff here and come with you. Nobody's gonna steal it.
Matt, are you kidding me? You can't leave me alone for 5 minutes? You really think that little of me?
That's not what I meant.
Why can't you just listen to me? Why do you have to question everything I say?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be helpful.
If you want to be helpful, then you can help get everything up to the lodge as quickly as you can, okay?
Okay. Fine. Whatever you want.
Thank you. I'll see you up there after I go find Sam.
See you in a bit.
Make yourself at home, bro.
Will do.
Yeah. Come on in. Take a load off. Have whatever you want. You just take whatever you want anyway, right?
Whoa. Easy there, cowboy.
What the hell were you doing with M out on the trail?
What?
I saw you and M. At the telescope.
Before? We just ran into each other. Been a while, so we hugged and I said hello. Is that against the law?
Right. Yeah. Duh. Sorry, it's been kind of a long day. I overreacted.
Nah, man. Don't worry about it.
We cool?
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God, that is so gross. Are you trying to swallow his face whole? I mean, seriously, can she be any more obvious? No one wants in on your territory, honey.
Excuse me? Did you say something?
Oh, did you not hear me? Was your sluttiness too loud?
Sounds like someone's bitter she didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it's all a big cattle call with that dreamboat. Congrats, you're top cow.
Cuts real deep calling Miss Homecoming a cow.
Come on.
No, shut up, Matt. Stay out of it, you dumb oaf.
Hey, watch it.
Oh, you're the only one who can put him down? No one else can play with your toys?
You're such a bitch.
Whatever. I don't give a crap what you think.
At least I can think. 4.0, bitch. On a roll. Suck on that when you're trying to sleep your way into a job.
Who needs grades when you've got all the natural advantages you can handle?
Oh, please.
You couldn't buy a moldy loaf of bread with your skanky ass.
Are you serious? Do you think that's insulting?
That bitch is on crack or something.
Emily, stop. This is out of hand. There's no reason to fight like this.
Yeah, why you picking fights over your ex-boyfriend, huh?
Stop it! This is not why we came up here. This is not helping. It's not what I wanted. If we can't get along for 10 minutes, then maybe we need a little bit of a break, right? Mike, why don't you check out the guest cabin, the one I told you about?
Yeah, all right. Wanna go do that?
Any place without that whore.
It's right up the trail.
Glad that's over.
Yeah.
So, Josh, should we get this fire going?
Where's my bag?
Huh?
My bag, the little bag with the pink pattern, the one I got on Rodeo. Matt, are you listening? Oh my God, don't you remember next to the Italian shoe place where I got the stilettos and you knocked over the rack while you were drooling all over that girl at the counter?
Well, I mean, she was asking about my letter jacket.
Right, because she gave a shit about your designer letter jacket.
Why do you hate my jacket?
Matt, I need my bag.
Oh my God, Em, maybe you just forgot it.
Do you seriously think I'd forget my bag?
Well,
Do you?
Guess not.
You must have left it down by the cable car station. Come on, hon. We'll be back soon.
And then we can get warm?
We can get very warm.
Okay.
I didn't care about any of them, and it wasn't until the end when I realized that I liked maybe one character. By like the second hour into the game, I was already hoping some of these characters would die, which is why I was never afraid of anything in the game. I was never afraid of the monster antagonist or making the wrong move because I was doing some of these people a favor. There would be these quote-unquote hard choices, but I never spent more than 5 seconds in making those decisions. I mean, look how quickly I made this decision.
Hello there, my special little subjects.
So scared, Chris.
Don't be scared.
Oh, you should be, Ash. Because here's the twist. Chris has made one fatal choice already today. And now, he must make another. Chris, you can take that gun in front of you and shoot Ashley, or you can shoot yourself. Whoever is left can live. The choice is yours. Don't be so silly, Chris.
Wait! Stop! You can do it, Chris. It should be me. You chose to save me before.
Fuck.
Let me choose this time. Let me choose to save you. If I do one less thing in my life, let me do this! Chris, please. Oh God.
And this one.
Please,
It is not safe as long as you're in it. Not for us.
don't do this!
I'm really sorry.
The only one I really cared for was Mike, and I didn't really realize that until the end because I had played him out to be a courageous, honest, good guy. Sam, even though I didn't hate her, I wasn't given enough time to really care. Plus, every character has a significant other, and Sam's apparent significant other / crush / romantic interest was never really given any development in my playthrough. As if from, hey, let me show you around, is supposed to translate to, let's do it in the basement. It was just, like, these are all people I would never ever speak to in real life for longer than 5 minutes, if that. I do have to give them credit for making realistic characters though, because I have met all of these people. There really isn't a story as it is just a tale of survival. There are revelations and some twists and turns, but they play out exactly the way they do in your average horror movie. It's not some cool tale of redemption and recovery that shows our heroes triumphing over evil and that evil symbolizes the evils of our society. Nah, it's just some dumbass kid that reads a carving in a drawer that says "Bye Bye Man." Some dumbass kid who reads a book about the Bibbidi Babbidi Babadook. And in this case, it's just some dumbass kids who went up to a totally abandoned lodge in the woods without ways of communicating with the outside world in case of emergency. I mean, what if there was none of this horror and some kid just fucking ate it and slipped and fell down the stairs? What if that had happened? Shit, man, you're bleeding a lot. Listen, Chad, I was too excited to come up here, and I didn't think to bring any way of contacting the outside world. So you're probably gonna die. So I'm gonna take your room, right? So yeah, hang in there, buddy. At its simplest form, it's just making a series of choices to keep all of your characters alive until dawn. Yay! Sorry, just because it's the title of the game. I don't know why I did that. At its simplest form, it's just making a series of choices to keep all your characters alive until dawn, while you build personalities and relationships for these characters. That's what really disappointed me, because I was led to believe it was a complex story that was more than just horror movie tropes, the game. But that was my bad. I should have done more research. These choices, though, are extremely meaningful. When there are big choices or tiny choices... These choices, though, are extremely meaningful. Whether they're big choices or tiny choices, they all affect your playthrough in some shape or form through the butterfly effect. The game drives that point home with the constant mentioning of the butterfly effect. Sometimes you'll make the wrong decisions. I mean, I once gave a character a flare gun, and he shot it immediately, to my dismay. I later realized that if I had kept it, I could have used it to defend myself against a bite. I once messed with a baseball bat, and in doing that, I left it out, only for me to be able to easily grab it when I was being chased. There were times where I was given the choice to take a shortcut or use a given path, and that shortcut sometimes helped me save a character, sometimes caused me to stumble, and sometimes even caused a death, and sometimes even just completely changed the series of events altogether. Unlike the recent Beyond Two Souls that, was also a narrative-driven game, the choices I made here actually made a difference, and the story here made more sense than it did in Beyond Two Souls. There is a lore here, but it's never explained to you directly. Throughout the game, there are collectibles for you to examine, and they can give you a bigger insight into the twins, the monsters that hunt you down, or what exactly happened on this mountain. These clues actually can affect your choices and your dialogue. If you find a vital piece of information, you can choose to share it or not. Sometimes in conversations, a character will drop information about clues they found. One time I listened to a phone message, and I thought nothing of it. Later on, when stuff started to get weird, the character brought it up and made me go, oh yeah. It made no difference in that situation or in the long run, but it was a nice touch. There's also like these little tikis. I don't know. You pick them up and they're color coded. When you examine them, they give you these short little clips of the potential future, and depending on the color, they could be possible ways you can die. This is a warning, possible ways to help yourself, and possible ways your friends will be affected. They're not long enough to ruin the gameplay, but detailed enough for you to think twice about something you saw. For example, towards the end I examined one and I saw Mike being on fire, so I thought twice about using fire around him. The visuals are great. There is an attention to detail that is definitely worthy of some recognition. The environments are dark, creepy, and moody. Everything you look at will have just more detail than you're normally used to when it's, whether it's like the depth of your footprint in the snow, a crease in a photo, or even the unevenness of a broken window. As great as they are, though, this is expected for these types of games. This narrative-driven game is a controlled experience, and if you choose to go with this art style of realism, then it's expected of you to make it as good as it is here. This is a Sony exclusive game, and I'm actually surprised that the character animations and facial reactions weren't as good as they were in either Uncharted 4 or in The Last of Us. Granted, those are both Naughty Dog games, but I'd have thought that the technology would be shared around, or Sony would give them the funding to really go all out. Because sometimes the characters' facial animations, they nail it, they kill it, they do well. Other times, they really don't. And because the characters are essentially just video game versions of their actors and actresses, it looks even worse, and it just looks super fake. It looks really weird when the faces and motions don't support the voice acting. Like, there will be, like, you know, a girl crying out for help, and then the face just looks really bored. It just doesn't look good. That being said, when it does work, and when you do it, and when you do actually get a facial animation that supports the dialogue being delivered, it works like a charm. And it looks astounding. It looks amazing. It looks genuine. The creases and the wrinkles, you know, the shadows on their faces, their cheeks sagging, they really went all out on making the faces in the game to look exactly like they do in real life. So that is a point worthy of praise. Speaking of audio, the voice acting is phenomenal. I have nothing against the voice acting of any of the characters. Sometimes some lines won't hit home, but that'll never be because of the audio. That's just a bad writing. Sometimes real actors just can't cut it in video game roles. I mean, we saw that with Bruce Willis, I think, in that one video game. That guy from Friends or Cheers or whatever that guy was from in Fallout New Vegas. And we saw it with the Dinkle in Destiny. In Until Dawn, that is not the case. Not at any point did I ever feel the acting was bad or mediocre. The music was good. It was nice and tense. The music was done by Jason Graves, who also did the music from The Order 1886. And I can't really say I had much to say about his work here, you know, but I did like it in The Order 1886. The gameplay is very simple. This is a narrative choice-driven game, so the most you're doing is really just moving the character around and then pushing whatever button comes on screen. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how to play this game. Something I noticed, though, is that you do have to be relatively quick to push the on-screen prompts. Sometimes there is no time limit, and you can weigh both options to your heart's content. Other times you have 1 second to read both of your options, 1 second to decide, and 1 second to make it. So, like, you only have, like, 3 seconds to, like, really make a decision. I thought I could change my answer in one of those timed responses, but I ended up freezing in place and my character was just decapitated. Since the game is very story heavy, I think I basically said everything there is to say about the gameplay when I talked about the story. Pick an option, alter the story, pick up certain things to affect the dialogue, etc. My only complaint, well, not my only complaint, but my biggest complaint about the controls, gameplay-wise, is the movement of the characters. Sometimes they move too slow for my liking. If you hold a button, it makes them walk a little faster, but not by much. I found myself constantly holding that button. I really wish the movement was faster with maybe replacing the faster walking with a light jog instead. All in all, Until Dawn was just not my cup of tea, and that just happens to be biased from before the game even started. I was excited to play Until Dawn. The number of times this game went on sale, and my friend and I just bit our fists, constantly weighing all of our options to see if we would finally grab it. Eventually, the game made it to PS Plus as part of one of the monthly free games, and I jumped at that chance immediately. My bias, however, was just a strong dislike for horror movies. I had assumed Until Dawn was a horror game, but not one that would emulate horror movies, and that's just where things turned sour for me. Story is fine. I mean, I guess for a horror movie, the characters are super not relatable unless you are an annoying guy or girl in their early 20s that think the world is their fuckable oyster. The visuals are good, with the exception of a few moments where the facial capture failed the game. The audio is great. The gameplay is simple and easy to get into, given the fact that you don't have the reflexes of a dead cat, you know? Anyways, I got this game for free on PlayStation Plus, and for free, obviously the game was worth it. If you're one of the lucky ones to get it for free on Plus and you like horror movies, this game's absolutely worth it. If you find it on sale and you're a horror movie fan, then it's absolutely worth it. The replayability is there. There's no New Game Plus or anything, but in games like these, if you're really digging the game, you can go back and try out different choices, and you can even go back to specific chapters and change it up. I beat this game in about 3 days, playing for about 3 hours at a time, more or less, which isn't long at all, but given the nature of the game, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. If you're not a horror movie fan, then I do not recommend this game at all. If you like a well-written story with relatable characters, then I definitely do not recommend this game at all. Anyways, for me, Until Dawn gets a 6.
Now, that was exciting, wasn't it? Well done!
Out of 10.
The game seems to be going very well. Yes. All the good work we did exploring the source of your fear. And you've just gone and used it for ill. Your overwhelming fear of failure.